Hi everyone, I'm Sean, and today I'm going to be doing the last 10 books tag. I was tagged into this by Rob from Rob is Doing Things. Rob reviews all sorts of books. He does some classics, he does some fantasy, some kind of science fiction, a variety of books if you want to check him out. He also does a lot of book tag videos, and he'll also do like study or writing sessions where for a couple hours he'll just be plucking away at a keyboard and you could hear either some music or just some sound of crackling fire or just the sound of typing if you think that will help motivate you to write or to study. He does those pretty often. I don't know if he does them every week, but fairly often for a couple hours. If that sounds like something you'd enjoy, definitely go give his channel a look. And without further ado, let's get into it. Question 1. The last book you didn't finish. The last book I didn't finish was Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. I talk about this book in my March wrap-up, so if you want to go give that video a look, go click over to it. But yeah, Gone with the Wind, I just had some problems with it and I gave up after about 340 pages or so. Question 2. The last book you reread. I don't reread very many books. The only one I've really reread was A Constitutional Faith by Hugo Black. Hugo Black was FDR's first pick to the Supreme Court, and I just like him. But yeah, I've definitely reread this book multiple times. It's a real thin book, but I love A Constitutional Faith by Hugo Black. Question 3. The last book you bought. There are 4 books I bought recently. 3 of them come off the top 1,000 books list, 1,000 books to read before you die. One of them is a collection of books by Henry Miller. There's Tropic of Cancer, Black Spring, and The Colossus of Marusi. In a video I've referenced several times, a video where Gore Vidal is debating Norman Mailer. Norman Mailer mentioned that Henry Miller said, was the greatest writer living in America. And I'd never read him before. And so Black Spring is on the top 1,000 list. I think Tropic of Cancer was his first book, so I don't know which one I'll read first, Tropic of Cancer or Black Spring, but I definitely want to give Henry Miller a try just because of what Norman Mailer said about him, and also because he's on the top 1,000 list. So that is the first book. The second book is Salman Rushdie, Midnight's Children. This is another book that's off the top 1,000 list. I have a couple autographed books by Salman Rushdie. I have The Ground Beneath Her Feet and, what is it? The Moor's Last Sigh. But Rushdie is on the top 1,000 list for this book. And I've never read any of his books yet, but I'm very eager to get into it. So that is the next one. Third is not on the top 1,000 list, but it's The Naked and the Dead by Norman Mailer. Norman Mailer is actually on the top 1,000 book list for Armies of the Night, which I've already read. But this book, The Naked and the Dead, I think this is the one that really kind of launched him into success. Or if not, he at least mentioned it in the Vidal versus Mailer debate several times. They talk about this book at length. So I got it because I'm just curious about Norman Mailer's writing. I haven't quite decided yet if I like or dislike him as a writer. So that's next. And then last would be Dracula by Bram Stoker. So this is of course a real popular book and it's on the top 1,000 list. I've never read it. I did really like Frankenstein, so I kind of have high hopes for this one. So, question 4. The last book you said you read but didn't. I don't really lie about not reading books. The only thing is I may not specifically say I did not finish a book, but that's about it. Question 5. The last book you wrote in the margins of. Well, the first one would be one of mine. I edit my books and edit them with a red pen. Kind of a messy page. But that's one. The other one would be The Pirates by George MacDonald Fraser, and I should be doing a review of this one soon. But with this one, I highlighted the book because he uses adverbs a lot. So in my review, I want to be sure. You'll see in the review, but yeah. So I highlighted this because I do not plan on like giving this book away or anything. I'll probably just throw it in the trash or burn it. That should give you an idea what I think of George MacDonald Fraser's books. So those are the last books I technically wrote in the margins in, or wrote in, or whatever. Question 6. The last book you had signed. I just filmed a video of all my signed books, so if I've posted that video, you could go click over to that. But the newest books I have signed are Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil by John Barnett, Amy Tan, The 100 Secret Senses, Charlton Heston, The Courage to Be Free. I don't know if this is real or not. I kind of assume it's not because his signatures are very often faked. But yeah. And then in Scott Momaday, Housemaid of Dawn. Those are my most recent signed books. Question 7. The last book you lost. Well, I did lose The City of Dreaming books for a long while, which was very frightening because that's my favorite book ever, but eventually I found it again. Oh, another one I lost for a long while was this book by Thomas Jefferson. It contains a lot of his writings. So I used to love this book, and I don't know, I guess I misplaced it, but then after a few years I finally found it again. Question 8. The last book you had to replace. Okay, my ex wanted me to read Beautiful Disaster by, I think, Jamie McGuire. And so I was reading it on a flight, I think, and somehow I think I got ketchup on the book. And this was my ex's book, so I bought her another copy of the book, and yeah, so that's the last book I replaced. Question 9. The last book you had an argument over. It would probably be one of the Harry Potter books, and I specifically remember the argument was dealing with, the guy was basically saying how come no one has a problem with like slavery in the books. But I was arguing that that is a point. I mean, Hermione is very much, you know, I think she forms like an anti-slavery group at the school to try to free the elves. So I had an argument about that. And I don't even think the person read any of the books. They were just reading like articles against the Harry Potter series. So I am kind of a defender of the Harry Potter books and J.K. Rowling in general, so yeah. Question 10. The last book you couldn't get a hold of. I have been trying to get a copy of Slaughterhouse-Five for a while by Kurt Vonnegut because I have Bluebeard by him, and it's also on the top 1000 list to read Slaughterhouse-Five, and I just haven't seen it at the bookstore, so I'm just kind of waiting for the library to reopen because I need to read that book. And that is the last 10 books tag. So remember to give Rob's channel a look, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!